This is Engineering Tips, and I'm going to talk about the December workspace updates, and I have a couple of announcements for us as well. I sent out an email that had a link to our PDF on the website, and I'm just going to use that PDF just to keep myself on track and try to show you the cool things that I want you to be aware of. Number one, I think it was actually in the image. So let me bring that back up again. I wanted to talk about, okay, points will now print. Beware. I'm going to open up a different file here. I happen to have Open Roads Designer already open. I stole this file. I won't tell you from who. But this file was prepared as an exhibit, and the goal was to produce a PDF that would have white stripes. And this is related because there was 2 changes to all things printing or PDFing. Now, the first change, that points will now print, and you need to be aware of that, was a change to the printer driver configuration file. So we use a printer driver configuration file that's automatically loaded. It's the ODOT sizes set up for creating PDFs. It's that PLT-CFG file. Inside that file, in the past, we have suppressed the printing of points. But now in our system, we have drainage and utility nodes. These are inlets, manholes. Those are considered points. So when we suppress those points, we were unable to print the outline of the structures and profile. It was a real pain. So now points will show up in your prints when you are using our ODOT PLT-CFG. So if you have a point that's showing up, for example, let me place a point. I should have set this up. Let me go back to the default model. Oh, wrong model. Let me go to this name boundaries. Yeah. Okay, in this name boundaries model, I'm going to place some points. I'm going to go to the drawing tab, and I'm going to set the color to be cyan blue, and I'm going to set the weight to be 10. But I'm going to do a smart thing, and I'm going to set the active level to be, it's using a filter. I personally don't like level filters. I just know that they get in my way. So I use none. There we go. So let me find, I'm going to make the active level, right click to rename. I'm doing this because I'm going to place something that I want to use as a construction. Maybe I want to connect the dots later on. I'm just going to place some active points. So from the placement group, I'm going to place some active points, and I'm just going to, maybe I've got placement of a new stop bar is going to go there, and the new stop bar there is going to go. They're just points. And they should be construction class. If I needed them to be construction class, you can select them. You can actually select the whole group of them, just for example. Let me select the whole group. And you can go to your properties, and in that whole group, my properties is not behaving correctly, so I need to exit and relaunch. This is just one of those things that we find out that when the properties dialog does not behave as you expect it to behave, and it doesn't show you the actual properties, that's the time to exit. I'm just going to do what I say that we should do, because it's important that that I do what I tell you to do. So sorry about that. Properties is not behaving well. Let me open up that same file. So here I am in my file, and it shows me my points. It's going to show the background. All right. So let me try selecting my points. 1, 2, I'm just using the control button and clicking. Let's see if I've got properties. Now I have properties. Yay. They're all on the same level. If I needed to change their level, I would do it right here in the level list. I could change and put them on, right click to rename 0. I can also change their class to construction. Oh, now this is interesting. They are already set as construction class, which I did not do. So this is something to be wary of. And so I'm so glad that this happened. I'm using somebody else's data. Hello. And somebody else set the active class in this file to be construction, which is not a great thing to do. And I typically do not do that. Where that's done is in the attributes tab. I don't even display the active attribute of class because it's so often misused. But I'm going to turn it on and we can see that it's set to construction, which means every element that I place now is going to be a construction class. So what I like to do is I like to set the active class to primary. All of our seed files, it's set to primary. It's what the things that you add to a drawing should definitely always be primary class. Then what I do is afterwards, if I place something that's primary class and I want it to be construction class, I will open up the properties and I will change it from primary to construction class, which doesn't affect any other elements in the future or any other elements that I have not selected. So it affects just the elements that I've selected. So now those are construction class, but everything else hopefully is primary. Now, if I go to my sheet, back to my sheet, what we see is, I think the level is turned off, but let me look. I didn't even look at my level display. Sorry. Coming from the name boundaries. Oh, it says it's on. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, I made them construction class, right? I made them construction class, and the view has constructions toggled off. So if I toggle those on, and then there's one other place, and I've been modifying this data set to work, and so now I can't get it to not work. There's one other place to handle construction class elements if you happen to have them, and that's in the presentation of the reference file. So the reference file, I have the references dialog open. I've selected, it's a nested reference that's coming in, and I can go to the properties and the presentation of those properties, and I'm going to turn the constructions on. They were correctly turned off, and I'm turning them on, and then I'm going to close this, and now I should see them, and of course I don't. Probably I'm beyond why I don't see my points. So let me just place those points right here. Points, and what are my active attributes? Let me set it to cyan blue. Let me set it to weight 10. Let me just place some points here. I wanted some points to appear. The thing about the old printer driver configuration files is that they would not allow those points to be seen in the print. The new ones will allow those points to be seen in the print. So if you are trying to print and you see those points in the print, let's see, let me do a print preview, and I'm not seeing them, which is really interesting. Oh, there they are. Sorry. Let me make this bigger. They're very tiny. Points are very tiny. And usually when they're turned to black, that's when they show up. But I can actually see them here. So this printer driver configuration file will allow points to be printed unless you put them on a level that you can turn off, or you make them a construction class element. Now, the thing about the construction class elements is that we do not allow, when we use a print style, we do not allow construction class elements to print. So even if they show up in your preview or your drawing, even if I haven't set my view attributes to not display constructions, the constructions won't print. These are not construction class. So let me attach a pen table. Oh, it turns everything black, but as I can see, I can still see those because they're not construction class. So if your points are muddying up your prints, select your points, put them on a level that you can turn off, or change their class to construction class. That way they won't appear in your prints. Now I'm going to refresh, and now they are not appearing in my prints. So that's what you'll need to do now if you have them bothering your prints. Now let's talk about the other change. I have a new pen table that is great for exhibits, not great for contract plans. So this print right now is set up for contract plans, and you can see it looks terrible, all this black stuff, because the plans.tbl pen table turns everything, including fills, to black, unless you're using like a background fill. So don't use it if you're making an exhibit. Lots of times if you attach a different pen table, let me attach heavy color. If I attach heavy color, you'll see an issue that happens with heavy color is that the colors look great except for the white striping. The white striping is not white, it's black. This is something that happens programmatically. So I can interrupt that, but that is the way the program is designed. If you draw something with color index of 0, it will be opposite the color of the background, which means if I'm in a design type model, that name boundaries model, I'm going to see color index 0 appear as white because the black background. So it takes the opposite color. But if I'm looking at that in a sheet model, which this is, and a PDF has got a white background, color index 0, is displayed with the opposite color, and so it displays it black. So what we did is we created a pen table that you could attach, and it's simply called color with white striping.tbl, and it preserves the white. It actually makes it true color white, so that your striping will show up, or whatever you've got some pavement markings that are white, and those are showing up white, which is the way I want it. But notice those points are back because this is not a plans.tbl. It's not suppressing constructions. So this is very WYSIWYG. If I didn't want to see those points, I need to turn off the constructions in the view, or I could toggle off the level. Either way. I turned off the constructions in the view, and now I don't see those points. All right, that pen table was released. It's on all the ODOT machines in the V2024 workspace. If you're an external, you can get your own copy of the latest stuff by going to the East website, the ODOT workspace and monthly changes. It explains how you can copy the latest V2024 external zip from our FTP site. So that's there for you. All right, I wanted to talk also about some additional things that are not printing related. So I'm going to go back to that ORD file, and well, I also have a tip, but anyway, I'll get there. We had changes to the ribbon workflows, and I discovered an interesting thing that I hadn't seen when these changes were put in. Some of the changes were done to the ribbon workflow for bridge. So I'm going to go to the bridge ribbon workflow, ODOT bridge. On the ODOT bridge ribbon workflow is a tab called General. That's not it. I think I'm going to look all over the place. Oh, must be Details. Here it is, Details. What is here of interest to me was this group called cache. Another word for cache is a reference. Cache files are reference files. And there is the command to attach the 2D masking cache. I used this. This was so cool. I'm going to use it right now. I'm going to poke that button and see what it does. It gives me an alert. That's absolutely fine to accept that alert. And it goes right to the reference attachment properties for the 2D masking cache. I didn't have to navigate any place. I really thought this was fast. When attaching the 2D masking cache, I typically will expand the standard views and select the top view. This will allow me to place these elements near where my other graphics are so that I can copy from this cache and start to use them. So I'm going to select the standard view of top and click OK. Now, there's some stuff following my cursor. I'm going to kind of zoom in so we can see. This is a rectangle. There's really just 4 shapes here. So I would locate my data. Maybe I've got a project area and it's off to the left there. And I'm going to stick this close to my project area. And it's just these shapes. And then to use those shapes, you just simply, I would right click and I'm going to choose copying. I'm going to copy from there and put it over something that I want to mask. And you can change these, add vertices, you can do whatever you'd like. But what's kind of cool is when you go to print these, you know what, that outline is going to be converted. This is not a very good demonstration, but when I do go to print these and I apply a print style, I'm in a design type model, so I'm going to choose 11 by 17. You'll notice from the preview, it vanished. Plans.tbl says if I have something, an element that is cyan blue, and it's filled with the background color, as this one is, then I'm going to make the outline invisible in the print. So that whole 2D masking cache, the reason they were set up is so that you could tell in your file where these masks are placed. You can actually see them with that cyan blue outline. You can select them and modify them, but they are invisible when you actually send them to the PDF. So that was kind of cool. So again, what I really liked about this Details tab was this cache group, and I could envision, and I think Mindy and I talked about it, we'll be talking with some of the discipline owners about perhaps adding some commands to maybe ODOT roadway, some other disciplines, traffic control, for attaching those specific cache files, because it was so quick. I really liked this. That was kind of cool. All right, so that was just an added benefit. It was not actually a change that happened this month, but just one that I saw for the first time. Now, let me go back. I'm going to get some others. And they actually have to do with the template library. So I'm going to open up the template library. Let me go back to the Open Roads Modeling. I'm going to go to the Corridors tab. What I have visible in this black space is not really important. We made some additions to the feature definitions and the element templates to support some new templates in the template library. I'm going to open up the template library. And because I do not have a key number.itl in my work set, it's going to use the template library, the seed one, that lives in the workspace. That's all this little informational dialogue is telling me. It's read-only. Our workspace is read-only here at ODOT. Externals will not see that this is read-only because theirs are treated differently. But at ODOT, anything that's in our workspace is read-only. So I'm going to click OK just so I can see it. The big difference that you will see is that it immediately opens up and shows you a multicolored, what is it, fish channel with riprap and topsoil benching. It's also got a filter blanket. So what we've got is 3 new templates in the templates folder. I've got just a fish channel, and it's again got topsoil, it's got riprap with filler material along the bottom, and then it's got stream bed gravels along the center of the channel. Let's see, is there any questions? I heard a pop, but I've not been keeping track of stuff. Okay, all right. I've also got the water quality swale, which is controlled by the center line. This can be applied anywhere. If you have a center line for a swale, you can run this template. It's got a left side and right side. So these are already left side and right side. As all with these full templates, they already have _L and _R. All of these templates were created from parts and pieces that are up under the advanced components. There are 2 new folders in the advanced components. There's a slope protection folder and a stream channel folder. The difference between slope protection and stream channel is that the slope protection have their unconstrained point, the uber parent point is at the top, and the stream channel ones, their point that controls everything is at the bottom. I've also added some stuff to the drainage. I added a biofiltration slope and a water quality swale. So there's the water quality swale without the cuts and fills and without the _L or R. And here's a biofiltration slope, which could be used on another, like a roadway template. You could attach it right to the subgrade. If we go into the slope protection, we'll see here's our filter blanket with slope, and the control point is at the upper right. It's an edge of rock point. There's a filter, another just a straight slope without a bench. I've got a filter blanket slope. It's kind of shaped like a backward Z. I've heard people refer to this as a golf club. I think it looks more like a hockey stick, but that's where I'm from. But this has that base that would go underneath that stream channel that I showed you. And here is some components that use a different style of riprap. So this is a material riprap 2. I've got some additional riprap styles. We used to have just one, just MAT riprap. And now we've got riprap 2. I'll show you that we've got a couple others. So here's some loose riprap if you see it. And then just here's a slope protection. It's got riprap on top of the filter blanket. Nope. What have I got? Loose riprap below? No. Filter blanket below, cyan blue, that's that hockey stick filter blanket with riprap. Then there's a stream channel. And in the stream channel area, remember the big difference is the point of control. These are all from the bottom. So the point is at the bottom near the stream channel. There's a filter blanket. Here's the fish channel. It's controlled right along the center of the channel itself. Loose riprap. And as I said before, all of these pieces were created so that they could be used. Here's a topsoil. So that they could be used in this beautiful multicolor template. Now, I'm just going to close that for a second. I wanted to show you the different features, feature definitions that are now available. If I expand our standards and expand the libraries, we'll see some new feature definitions that are available. I'm going to expand those, and these are mesh feature definitions, and they're in the cross-section group. So I'm going to highlight what's new. do want you to notice that there are 3 different kinds of concrete. When we get down there, we'll see that there are 3 different kinds of asphalt. And what I wanted to do is end up with more options for riprap because we have different classes of riprap. We have loose riprap, so there are additions. I use, here's a gravels. This is a brand new one. Gravels and riprap with filler material. This is a new one that was used for that stream bed channel. And then I've got, here's riprap 2, and then there's riprap with filler material. And then topsoil is down at the bottom. So those are all there for use. Now, how could you incorporate these? What if you have a project template library and you want to try out some of these new things and you don't want to totally recreate, the wheel? I want to show you how you can add these templates and the components to your current project template library. So you would open up your project and you would load your project template library. It might be in your roadway folder. It might be in your hydraulics folder. Mine is in the standards folder, in the template library folder called key number, but that's because I'm working from my C drive. So wherever your template library is, load it. You can only edit something that's open for editing, so you have to load it. So this is the older one, and it doesn't have those newer templates, and it doesn't have those newer advanced components. So we can add them. What we do is we go into the tools and we open up the template library organizer. And then on the right-hand side in the template library organizer is where we tell it we need to navigate someplace with tiny little ... And I'm going to open up the standard template library, and the standard template library is not there. It's in V2024, Org Civil, ODOT Standards, template library. This is the one that was being opened read only, and that's fine. That's the one I want to get my goodies from. And then I can expand this by double clicking, and I can see that this one has those 2 additional folders. Mine doesn't have them. I can actually select these things and drag them over, or I can just grab the templates. I could say, I want, and I can only do 1 template at a time. I'm going to do the fish channel template first. I'm going to left click, drag, and drop. And what I do is I drag from the bottom up and hover very carefully right over templates and drop it on templates. There's something distressing that happens when you hover over these, when you're trying to drag and drop, is that all of these folders will open, and it's really annoying. So I'm going to drag and I'm going to hover from the bottom up and let go. And it put fish channel template there. Select the other one. And I'm just going to let go when templates highlights. Get that water quality swale. There we go. Now, what if I want the slope protection top controlled, stream channel? What if I want the drainage stuff? You can actually get the things that you want. Maybe I want the biofiltration slope, but be careful about dragging from the bottom because it's going to expand everything. I'm going to try to go straight across and dump into drainage. Straight across. It didn't expand anything. I can just go pretty quickly straight across. Whew, that went pretty well. But how about this slope protection? I need to drop this folder on top of the advanced components folder. So collapse that. I'm going to select slope protection and I'm going to drag it and drop it on advanced components. This is just, it's delicate. Advanced components. Okay. So now I've got those. And that will have all of the templates. When we click OK, we're prompted to save the data. So I say, yes, I want to save it. And then I can start using it in my key number. I will actually see all of those same things. So that's how you would update yours. One way to do it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Lenny, I had a question regarding cross sections and these new point names. Is that file and that basically the standard that we bring in when we're creating cross sections for construction plans updated with these new point names?
Thank you for asking. Perfect question. I tried to get it on the standards engineer wants more of a review. So I will show you what I've got coming, because that's an excellent question. Because you're right, we need to keep everything updated. What I've got is I've got a DGN called standard point names that I use to generate the standard point names. I'm going to open up this PDF and drag it over so you can see it. This is the same thing that we use for the cover sheet for the eBids cross sections. So eBids cross section cover sheet. You could also create a new model, a new sheet model from a seed, and you could choose that 11 by 17 eBids cover sheet. And what I've done is I have added those point names to this. This is still under review. So this will hopefully go out in January, which is coming right up. But I'll just tell you what I did is I put all of the new, not all of them, but I have examples of some of the hydro point names, how they're applied on the right. I had just a blank space over here. So those are, they show you how we're doing the point names, essentially. I also added, let me zoom in down at the bottom. I also added to the glossary of abbreviations. And I added, we've got biofill for biofiltration. I've got, well, I've already had eco ditch. Oh, here's edge of loose riprap, edge of riprap, edge of topsoil, edge of water quality swale. Those are the additions there. Also, I was asked to update the glossary of material abbreviations and add the missing subbase that had been missing. And then not only add that, but show how it's used in the typical sections up above. And so I did that too. So I've redone these typical sections. So if we go up to the top, I have only the left-hand side here of our regular roadway with a ditch, and it's now over on the left, the ditch with the slope break. Barrier, I didn't make any changes to the barrier section, no changes to the wall section. I did make a change to this section that's got the tree. I corrected some point names that were not up to date. We had added a S for standard curb, a -S. So I added that there. And then I've got the edge of rock subgrade, edge of rock AB. So this is more typical now, where we have this subgrade, this aggregate that goes out beyond when you just have your standard curb. So that looks closer to what the templates look like, with corrected names. I also added, I got rid of the monolithic curb and sidewalk, and I added gutter pan with sidewalk. And I've got the points there. So this was a recommendation that had come in from Region 2. They said, can we see how these point names are applied? So I've got them there. And there's kind of a little inset here to show you the bottom back of the curb. For the curb and gutter, the CG is, this is a curb and gutter. This is the bottom face of the curb for the curb and gutter. There's the gutter L and the pan left. Then the last one was, I've got this little section of subbase that I drew in below this guardrail section. And I just patterned it so it looked different. And you can see that I've got a cut at the ag base, cut at subgrade, and a cut at subbase. And here's the EP at subbase. So I added that. So that is under review right now for the next month-ish. So if you have comments on that, definitely, let's hear them. I mean, not right now, but I can send this out to a larger audience. Like, it will come up to OpenX standards. That's who I think, and Alex, I think you sit on OpenX, so it'll come up there in January. I want to thank you for coming out today. You guys have a great holiday.